The morning sun barely broke through the gray clouds hanging over Fort Harrison when Sergeant Maya Chen stood at attention in front of the bulletin board. Her eyes scanned the announcement that would change everything. The annual combat leadership trial was being reinstated after 15 years. And this year, for the first time in the program's history, it was open to everyone. Maya was 5 feet 2 inches tall and weighed barely 110 pounds. She had heard every joke, every whispered comment, every doubt disguised as concern. But in her 8 years of service, she had never let her size define her limits. Still, as she read the requirements for the trial, she felt her heart race. This wasn't just any competition. This was the test that had made legends out of soldiers, the test that determined who would lead the next generation of warriors. "You thinking about signing up, Chen?" The voice behind her dripped with sarcasm. Maya didn't need to turn around to know it was Staff Sergeant Derek Paulson. He was 6'3", 230 pounds of muscle and ego. They probably have a weight minimum, you know? For safety reasons. Laughter erupted from the group of soldiers standing behind him. Maya kept her eyes on the board. She had learned long ago that reacting only fed them. "I'm serious," Paulson continued, stepping closer. "This isn't some desk job or communications role. This is real combat simulation. Live-fire exercises, 100-pound pack marches, hand-to-hand combat against opponents who won't go easy on you just because you're—" He paused dramatically, vertically challenged. More laughter. Maya finally turned to face him. Her dark eyes met his with steady calm. "I can read the requirements just fine, Paulson," she said quietly, "and I don't see anything about height restrictions." "Just performance standards," Paulson smirked. "Performance standards you'll never meet." "Look, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm being realistic. You're a good soldier, Chen. You're smart. You're dedicated. But this trial was designed for warriors. Real warriors. Not," he gestured at her small frame, "whatever this is." The word stung more than Maya wanted to admit. But she had spent her entire military career proving people wrong. This would be no different. "Then I guess we'll see," she said simply, and walked away. That night, Maya sat in her small quarters on base, staring at the application form on her laptop screen. The combat leadership trial was a month away, 30 days to prepare for the most grueling test the military could design. The trial consisted of 3 phases spread over 72 hours. Phase 1 was physical endurance, obstacle courses, long-distance runs with heavy packs, and strength challenges. Phase 2 was tactical operations, live-fire exercises, strategic planning under pressure, and leadership scenarios. Phase 3 was combat readiness, hand-to-hand fighting, survival skills, and a final mission that combined everything. Only 10 soldiers would be selected to participate from Fort Harrison. The top performer would earn the Combat Leadership Badge and first choice of assignment anywhere in the military. It was a career-defining opportunity. Maya thought about her father. Colonel James Chen had been a decorated Army Ranger who died in combat when Maya was 16. He had always told her that size didn't matter. Heart did. Determination did. The will to never quit when everyone expected you to fail. She clicked the submit button on her application. The next morning, Maya started her new training regimen. She was up at 4:30, running 6 miles before breakfast. She spent her lunch breaks in the gym, working on upper body strength. After duty hours, she practiced hand-to-hand combat techniques with anyone willing to spar with her. Most weren't. "You're wasting your time," her bunkmate, Private Jessica Torres, said one evening as Maya iced her bruised knuckles. "Even if you make it past the selection board, you'll get destroyed in the actual trial." "No offense, but those guys are going to be twice your size." "None taken," Maya said, though the words still hurt. "But I'm not trying to be twice their size. I'm trying to be twice as good." The selection board met 2 weeks later. Maya stood in her dress uniform outside the conference room, waiting to be called in for her interview. 9 other soldiers sat in the hallway with her, all men, all significantly larger than her. She recognized most of them. Paulson was there, of course, looking confident and relaxed. Next to him was Sergeant First Class Mike Torres, a combat veteran with 3 deployments. There was Lieutenant Jake Morrison, Captain Ben Walsh, and several others whose reputations preceded them. When Maya's name was called, she walked into the room with her head high. The selection board consisted of 5 senior officers, including Colonel Patricia Reeves, the base commander. "Sergeant Chen," Colonel Reeves said, looking over her file, "your service record is impressive. Top marks in your MOS. Commendations for leadership, excellent physical fitness scores. But I have to ask the obvious question. Why do you think you can compete in a trial designed for combat armed soldiers when you're a communications specialist? Maya had prepared for this question. Ma'am, with respect, I don't see this as a combat arms trial. I see it as a leadership trial. And leadership isn't about how much you can bench press or how tall you stand. It's about making the right decisions under pressure. It's about inspiring others to follow you even when things look impossible. Those are skills I've developed throughout my career. One of the other officers, a gruff major with a silver crew cut, leaned forward. That's a nice speech, Sergeant. But at some point in this trial, you're going to have to physically fight someone. You're going to have to carry wounded soldiers. You're going to have to move obstacles that outweigh you. How do you plan to do that? The same way I've done everything else in my career, sir, Maya answered. By refusing to quit. By finding a way when there doesn't seem to be one. And by remembering that the Army taught me to adapt and overcome. The interview lasted 20 minutes. When Maya left the room, she had no idea if she had convinced them or confirmed their doubts. 3 days later, the list was posted. Maya pushed through the crowd of soldiers gathered around the bulletin board. Her eyes scanned down the names. Paulson, Torres, Morrison, Walsh. And there, at the bottom of the list, the 10th and final name, Sergeant Maya Chen. She had made it. The celebration in her chest was short-lived. Someone behind her laughed loudly. This is a joke, right? Paulson's voice carried across the hallway. They picked Chen for diversity points or something. There's no way she actually earned that spot. Maya turned to face him. I went through the same selection process you did. Yeah, but we both know they lowered the standards to let you through, Paulson shot back. Look, I get it. The Army wants good optics. Female soldier competes in big trial. Makes for great PR. But when you wash out in the first 6 hours, it's going to be embarrassing for everyone. Then I guess I better not wash out, Maya said. Paulson stepped closer, towering over her. You don't get it, do you? This isn't about being inspirational or breaking barriers. This is about preparing soldiers for real combat. And in real combat, your teammates need to trust that you can handle yourself. How is anyone supposed to trust someone who looks like a strong wind could knock her over? The words hit harder than any punch, because Maya had heard them before. Not just from Paulson, but from a dozen other soldiers throughout her career. The doubt, the assumption that her size made her weak, the belief that she had only gotten this far because of lowered standards or special treatment. But Maya had also learned something in her 8 years of service. Words only had the power she gave them. I guess you'll find out in 30 days, she said calmly and walked away. The next 4 weeks were the hardest of Maya's life. She trained every available moment, pushing her body beyond limits she didn't know existed. She studied the terrain where the trial would take place, memorized tactical manuals, and watched footage of previous combat leadership trials until she could recite every obstacle and challenge. But the physical preparation was only half the battle. The other half was mental, because every day Maya faced the whispers, the doubts, the mocking comments disguised as friendly advice. In the mess hall, soldiers would stop talking when she walked by, then burst into laughter once she passed. During training exercises, some of her fellow competitors wouldn't even acknowledge her presence. Paulson made it his personal mission to remind her daily that she didn't belong. You know what I heard? He said loudly one morning as Maya was doing pull-ups in the gym. I heard the medics are already on standby specifically for you. They figure you'll tap out before lunch on day 1. Maya didn't respond. She focused on her breathing, on the burn in her muscles, on pulling herself up one more time. I'm talking to you, Chen, Paulson said, walking over to stand directly below her. You know it's not too late to withdraw, right? Save yourself the embarrassment. Save the rest of us from having to babysit you when things get real. Maya dropped from the bar and landed lightly on her feet. She was breathing hard, her arms shaking from exertion. She looked up at Paulson. Why do you care so much? She asked. If I'm going to fail anyway, why waste your energy worrying about it? The question seemed to catch him off guard. He frowned. Because this trial means something. It's sacred, and having someone like you in it diminishes what the rest of us have worked for. Someone like me, Maya repeated. You mean someone who doesn't fit your picture of what a soldier should look like? I mean someone who isn't physically capable of meeting the standard, Paulson said. This isn't personal, Chen, it's just facts. Maya grabbed her water bottle and towel. Then let the trial prove the facts, she said, and left before he could respond. But that night, alone in her quarters, Maya let the doubts creep in. What if Paulson was right? What if she was in over her head? She looked at herself in the mirror. 5'2", 110 pounds. Bruises on her arms from training. Exhaustion in her eyes. Then she saw the photo on her desk. Her father in his Army Ranger uniform, standing proud and tall. Next to it was the folded flag from his funeral, and the letter he had written her before his final deployment. Maya picked up the letter. She had read it 1,000 times, but the words still gave her strength. Maya, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it home. I'm sorry for that. Sorry I won't be there for all the moments I wanted to share with you, but I need you to know something. You are stronger than you think, braver than you know. The world will try to tell you what you can't do. People will doubt you because of how you look, where you come from, or what they think you should be. Don't listen to them. Listen to the voice inside you that says you can. That voice is the truth. Trust it, honor it, and never ever let anyone make you small. Love, Dad. Maya folded the letter carefully and set it back on her desk. She looked at herself in the mirror again. This time she saw something different. Not her size, not her limitations, but her father's daughter, a soldier who had earned her place. The day of the trial arrived with cold gray skies. All 10 competitors assembled at 0500 hours at the North Training Range. The area had been transformed into a massive course that stretched for miles into the wilderness. Colonel Reeves stood on a platform in front of them, along with the evaluation team who would be scoring every phase. Soldiers, the colonel's voice rang out across the field. You are about to begin the combat leadership trial. Over the next 72 hours, you will be tested in ways that will push you to your absolute limits. Some of you will not finish. That is not a prediction. That is a fact. This trial has a 40% completion rate. But for those who do finish, you will have proven yourselves among the elite. You will have earned the right to call yourselves combat leaders. Maya stood at attention, her heart pounding. She could feel the eyes of the other competitors on her. Could sense their doubt. Phase 1 begins in 5 minutes, Colonel Reeves continued. You will complete a 12-mile march with a 75-pound pack. Following the march, you will navigate an obstacle course designed to test strength, agility, and problem-solving. Then you will have a 30-minute break before beginning the tactical shooting range. Points will be awarded based on time and performance. The soldier with the lowest score at the end of Phase 1 will be eliminated. Are there any questions? No one spoke. Then take your positions. Maya hoisted her pack onto her shoulders. 75 pounds. It was more than half her body weight. The straps dug into her shoulders immediately. Around her, the other soldiers adjusted their packs with relative ease. Paulson looked like he barely noticed the weight. The starting horn blared. Maya began to march. The first mile was manageable. The second was harder. By the third mile, Maya's shoulders were screaming in pain. The pack felt like it was crushing her spine. But she kept moving. One foot in front of the other. Breathing steady. Mind focused. Around her, the other competitors pulled ahead. Their longer legs and larger frames gave them a natural advantage on the march. Maya didn't panic. She had known this would happen. She had trained for this. By mile 6, the pack was the only thing she could think about. The weight seemed to increase with every step. Her legs trembled. Sweat poured down her face despite the cold morning air. She could see the other soldiers far ahead, some already finishing the march and starting the obstacle course. Keep moving, Chen, one of the evaluators shouted as she passed a checkpoint. You're in last place. Pick up the pace or you're done. Maya gritted her teeth and pushed harder. Her body screamed in protest. Every muscle burned. But she thought about her father. About all the people who said she couldn't do this. About Paulson's smug face. She kept moving. Mile 8, mile 9, mile 10. The finish line of the march came into view. Maya could see the obstacle course beyond it, already filled with competitors working through the challenges. She was definitely in last place. But she was still moving. She crossed the march finish line and immediately headed to the obstacle course. No time to rest. No time to think about the pain. The first obstacle was a 12-foot wall. Maya ran at it, jumped, caught the top edge with her fingers and pulled herself up. Her arms shook violently, but she made it over. The second obstacle was a rope climb, 30 feet straight up. Maya wrapped the rope around her leg to help support her weight and began to climb, hand over hand. Breathe. Focus. Don't look down. She reached the top and rang the bell, then descended quickly. The third obstacle was a series of monkey bars over a mud pit. Maya's arms were already exhausted from the rope climb, but she grabbed the first bar and swung. She made it 3 bars before her grip faltered. She fell hard into the mud below. "Get up, Chen," an evaluator shouted. "Try again." Maya climbed out of the mud, wiped her hands on her uniform, and grabbed the first bar again. This time she focused on speed over form. Swing, catch. Her hands slipped twice, but she held on. She made it across. By the time Maya finished the obstacle course, she was covered in mud, bleeding from scrapes on her hands and arms, and shaking from exhaustion. She checked the scoreboard. She was in 9th place, only 1 soldier behind her. That soldier, Private Kevin Brooks, looked fresh and strong as he started the tactical shooting range. Maya grabbed her rifle and headed to the range. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely load the magazine. The shooting test required hitting 50 targets at varying distances while moving through a course. Accuracy and speed both counted. Maya took a deep breath and entered the range. The first target appeared. She fired, hit, second target, hit, third target, miss. She corrected and kept moving. Her small size actually helped her here. She could move through the course faster, drop into shooting positions more easily, and stay lower behind cover. She hit 46 out of 50 targets. When she checked the scoreboard after the shooting range, her heart leaped. She had moved up to 7th place. Brooks had struggled with the shooting and fallen to last. He was eliminated. 9 competitors remained, but Phase 1 wasn't over yet. The evaluators gave them 30 minutes to eat and hydrate before the final challenge of Phase 1. Maya sat on the ground, every muscle in her body screaming. She forced down a protein bar and drank as much water as she could hold. Around her, the other competitors did the same. Some looked confident. Others looked worried. Paulson looked annoyed. "Lucky break on the shooting range, Chen," he said, walking past her. "But luck runs out, especially when the real combat challenges start." Maya didn't respond. She was learning that Paulson's need to diminish her said more about his own insecurities than anything about her abilities. Colonel Reeves's voice crackled over the loudspeaker. "Competitors report to the rally point for the final Phase 1 challenge." Maya stood, her legs wobbling slightly. She followed the others to a clearing where 9 metal litters were laid out on the ground. Each litter had a weighted dummy on it representing a wounded soldier. "This is a casualty evacuation drill," Colonel Reeves announced. "You will carry this 200-pound litter 3 miles through rough terrain to the extraction point. You will do this alone. Time and whether you successfully complete the challenge determine your score. Begin on my mark." Maya looked at the litter. 200 pounds, nearly twice her body weight. She had practiced carrying heavy objects, but nothing like this. The horn sounded. The other competitors grabbed their litters and began moving. Maya gripped the handles of her litter and lifted. The weight was staggering. She managed to get it off the ground and take 3 steps before her arms gave out. The litter crashed back down. Around her, the other soldiers were already disappearing into the woods with their litters. Some carried them overhead. Others dragged them. But all were moving. Maya tried again. Lift, step, step, step. Her arms shook violently. 4 steps before she had to set it down. This wasn't going to work. She couldn't carry it the traditional way. She needed to think differently. Maya remembered her training in leverage and physics. She grabbed the litter and tilted it, balancing one end on the ground. Then she backed into the straps like a backpack and stood up, letting the litter rest on her back and shoulders. The weight was distributed differently now. Still heavy, still nearly impossible, but movable. She began to walk, slow, steady, using her legs instead of her arms. The terrain was rough, filled with rocks and fallen trees. Every obstacle was a nightmare. But Maya kept moving. 1 mile. Her back felt like it was breaking. 2 miles. She could barely breathe. The other competitors were long gone. She was alone in the woods with 200 pounds of dead weight and nothing but her will to keep going. She thought about quitting. It would be so easy. Just set the litter down and walk away. No one would blame her. Everyone expected her to fail anyway. But then she thought about what this represented. This wasn't just a dummy on a litter. This was a fellow soldier, someone's son, someone's brother, maybe someone's father. In real combat, this could be one of her troops. And if she quit now, she was saying she would quit on them too. Maya kept moving. 3 miles felt like 30. But finally, through the trees, she saw the extraction point. She stumbled forward, her vision blurring from exhaustion. She crossed the line and collapsed. Medical personnel rushed over, but Maya waved them away. "I'm fine," she gasped. "Just tired." She looked at the scoreboard. 6 soldiers had already finished. She was 7th. 2 soldiers were still out on the course. She had made it. 45 minutes later, Lieutenant Morrison emerged from the woods with his litter. That left 1 soldier still out there. Sergeant First Class Marcus Wright. The clock ticked past the 2-hour cutoff time. Wright was automatically eliminated. 8 competitors remained. They were given 4 hours to rest before Phase 2 began. Maya found a cot in the staging area and collapsed onto it. Her body was broken. Her mind was fuzzy. But she had survived Phase 1. She woke to someone shaking her shoulder. Jessica Torres, her bunkmate, was standing over her with a meal tray. "Eat," Jessica said simply. "You need fuel." "I thought you said I was wasting my time," Maya said, sitting up slowly. Jessica smiled. "I was wrong. What you did out there today was incredible. That casualty carry? I watched them bring in the footage. Everyone else used brute strength. You used your brain. That's what makes a real leader." The words meant more to Maya than any medal. She ate the food, drank more water, and tried to prepare herself mentally for what came next. Phase 2 was tactical operations. The 8 remaining competitors were divided into 2 teams of 4. Each team would plan and execute a simulated mission to secure a high-value target in a mock village. The missions would be evaluated on planning, execution, adaptability, and leadership. Each soldier would take turns as team leader. Maya's team consisted of herself, Paulson, Captain Walsh, and Sergeant Torres. When they gathered for their first planning session, the tension was immediate. "Okay, let's be smart about this," Captain Walsh said. He was the senior ranking officer among them. "We need to decide who leads which phase of the mission. I'll take the initial assault. Torres, you take the building clearing. Paulson, you take the extraction. And Chen," he paused, clearly struggling to find a role for her, "you can handle communications and support." "Support?" Maya said. "This is supposed to test our leadership abilities. Communications and support isn't a leadership role." "It's a critical role," Walsh said dismissively. "Every team needs good support. Every team also needs leaders who understand how to use all their resources effectively," Maya countered. "I should lead at least one phase," Paulson laughed. "Based on what? You barely made it through Phase 1. You finished second to last on the casualty carry. Why should we trust you to lead anything?" "Because the trial requires it," Maya said firmly. "Every team member has to demonstrate leadership." "That's the whole point," Walsh sighed. "Fine. You can lead the reconnaissance phase. It's the shortest and lowest risk." "That work for you?" It wasn't what Maya wanted, but it was better than nothing. "Yes, sir." They spent the next hour planning their mission. The objective was to infiltrate a village held by enemy forces, identify the location of a high-value target, secure the target, and extract without casualties. They would be facing trained OPFOR soldiers using simulation rounds that still hurt when they hit. When Maya's turn came to brief her reconnaissance plan, she laid out a detailed approach using stealth and intelligence gathering rather than force. "We don't have time for all that sneaky stuff," Paulson interrupted. "We should just go in fast and hard. Overwhelm them before they can react." "That might work for the assault phase," Maya said. "But reconnaissance is about gathering intelligence without being detected. If we go in loud, we lose our tactical advantage." "She's right," Torres said quietly. "Good recon sets up the whole mission for success." Walsh nodded. "Okay, we'll do it Chen's way for recon. But if it goes sideways, we adapt immediately." The mission began at 2200 hours, full darkness. Maya led her team through the woods toward the village. She had studied the terrain maps and identified 3 possible observation points. She brought the team to the first one, a small ridge overlooking the village center. Through night vision goggles, Maya spotted 6 OPFOR soldiers patrolling the village. She watched their patterns, timed their rotations, and identified the building most likely holding the high-value target based on the concentration of guards. 2 guards on the north entrance, rotating every 15 minutes, she whispered into her radio. Single guard on the east entrance, stationary. West entrance appears unguarded, but has clear sight lines from the guard tower. I recommend we breach east, neutralize the single guard quietly, and move to the target building before the north rotation. Copy that, Walsh responded. Good work, Chen. Moving to assault positions. Maya's recon phase was over. She had done her job. Now it was Walsh's turn to lead the assault. But as Walsh and Paulson moved into position for the breach, Maya noticed something through her goggles. The west entrance that appeared unguarded wasn't unguarded at all. There were 2 OPFOR soldiers in camouflage positions that hadn't been visible from her original observation point. If the team breached east as planned, they would be caught in a crossfire. Wait, Maya said urgently into the radio. West entrance is not clear. 2 concealed positions. Repeat, west is not clear. Say again. Walsh's voice crackled back. Before Maya could respond, gunfire erupted. The OPFOR had spotted Walsh's team moving into position. Simulation rounds filled the air. Maya watched as Walsh took a hit to the chest. He was eliminated from the scenario. Fall back, Paulson shouted. Regroup at rally point 2. The team retreated in chaos. When they assembled at the rally point, Walsh was sitting out, eliminated. Paulson was furious. What happened to your recon, Chen? He demanded. You said west was unguarded. I said it appeared unguarded from my original position, Maya corrected. When I moved to a second observation point, I spotted the concealed positions and tried to warn you, but the assault had already begun. So this is your fault, Paulson said. Your incomplete recon got Walsh eliminated. Actually, Torres interjected, Chen did exactly what she was supposed to do. She continued gathering intelligence and tried to update us. We moved too fast. Paulson glared at both of them, then keyed his radio. This is Paulson. I'm assuming team lead for the remainder of the mission. What came next would determine everything. Paulson's leadership style was exactly what Maya expected. Aggressive, direct, and inflexible. He modified the mission plan to a full frontal assault, abandoning the stealth approach entirely. We're going to hit them hard and fast, he announced. Chen, you and Torres will provide covering fire from the north ridge. I'll breach the target building and secure the HVT. Simple and effective. That's not simple, Maya said. That's suicide. We've already lost Walsh. The OPFOR knows we're here now. They'll have reinforced their positions. A frontal assault will get us all eliminated. Do you have a better idea? Paulson challenged. Maya did. We use the chaos to our advantage. The OPFOR thinks we're going to retreat and regroup. Instead, we move now while they're still resetting their defensive positions. But we don't go through the east or west entrances. We go through the south side. It's more exposed, but they won't expect it. Torres creates a diversion on the north side while we breach south. Once we're in, we move fast to the target building, secure the HVT, and extract using the confusion. Torres nodded. That could work. It's risky, but it's better than a straight assault. Paulson looked between them, clearly frustrated that his plan was being questioned. Fine, we'll try it your way, Chen. But if this fails, it's on you. They moved into position. Torres set up on the north ridge with a smoke grenade and began laying down simulated covering fire. The OPFOR responded exactly as Maya predicted, shifting their forces to counter the north side threat. Maya and Paulson moved quickly through the south approach. They reached the target building without being detected. Paulson took point and breached the door. Inside, 2 OPFOR soldiers guarded a room in the back. Paulson eliminated one, but the second got off a shot that hit Paulson in the shoulder. He was wounded, but still in the scenario. Maya moved past him and cleared the room. The high-value target was secured. Now they just needed to extract. Torres, we have the package, Maya said into her radio. Moving to extraction point Omega. Copy that, Torres responded. Be advised, OPFOR is converging on your position from the north and east. Maya helped Paulson to his feet. His shoulder was marked with the simulation hit, meaning he was operating as wounded. They moved toward the extraction point, but OPFOR soldiers were closing in fast. They weren't going to make it. Maya made a decision. Torres, I need you to shift fire to the east approach. Buy us 30 seconds. On it, Torres replied. Maya looked at Paulson. Can you carry the HVT dummy? With one arm? Barely, Paulson admitted. Then do it. Get to the extraction point. I'll cover your movement. You're going to cover me? Paulson said incredulously. You're half my size. You should be the one running while I provide cover. I'm faster and smaller, Maya said. I can move and shoot better in close quarters. You're stronger, so you carry the package. That's how we win this. Now move. For once, Paulson didn't argue. He grabbed the HVT dummy and began moving toward extraction. Maya positioned herself behind cover and began engaging the advancing OPFOR soldiers. Her small size allowed her to use positions that larger soldiers couldn't, and her accuracy was sharp. She eliminated 2 OPFOR soldiers before they even realized where she was firing from. 30 seconds to extraction, Torres called over the radio. Maya fired 3 more shots, then broke from cover and ran. She could hear OPFOR soldiers behind her. Simulation rounds cracked through the air. One hit the wall next to her head. Another hit the ground at her feet. She dove through the extraction point entrance just as the buzzer sounded. Mission complete. Their team had successfully secured the HVT and extracted with only 1 casualty. When the evaluators calculated the scores, Maya's team had the highest marks of both teams, and Maya's leadership during the modified plan and covering fire had earned her the highest individual score of the phase. Paulson was quiet as they walked back to the staging area. Finally, he spoke. "You saved the mission," he said. It wasn't quite an apology, but it was the closest thing to respect Maya had ever heard from him. "We saved the mission," Maya corrected. "That's what teams do." Phase 2 continued with rotating leadership scenarios. Maya led 2 more missions, each time demonstrating tactical intelligence and creative problem-solving that compensated for her physical limitations. By the end of Phase 2, 2 more soldiers had been eliminated due to poor decision-making under pressure. 6 competitors remained going into Phase 3. Phase 3 was combat readiness, hand-to-hand combat, survival skills, and a final integrated mission that combined everything they had learned. It was also where Maya's size disadvantage would be most obvious. The hand-to-hand combat portion was a bracketed tournament. Each soldier would fight until they either won or were eliminated. Maya watched as Paulson easily defeated his first opponent. Torres fought hard but lost to Captain Walsh in a close match. Then it was Maya's turn. Her opponent was Lieutenant Morrison, 6 feet tall and a former college wrestler. The rules were simple. Submission, knockout, or pushing your opponent outside the ring meant victory. The bell rang. Morrison came at her immediately, using his size and reach advantage. Maya backpedaled, staying out of his range. He threw a heavy punch. She ducked under it and moved to his side. He grabbed for her. She slipped away. "Stand still and fight," Morrison growled. Maya didn't respond. She was waiting, watching. Morrison was strong and skilled, but he was also getting frustrated. Frustrated fighters made mistakes. He charged at her, trying to tackle her to the ground. Maya sidestepped at the last second and used his momentum against him, pushing him as he went past. He stumbled but caught himself before going out of the ring. They circled each other. Morrison was breathing hard now, while Maya had barely exerted herself. She was letting him exhaust his energy while she conserved hers. He came at her again. This time Maya didn't retreat. She stepped inside his reach, too close for him to effectively punch, and drove her elbow into his solar plexus. The blow knocked the wind out of him. While he was gasping, Maya swept his legs and took him to the ground. She secured a submission hold before he could recover. The evaluator signaled the match. Maya had won. She helped Morrison to his feet. He looked shocked but nodded respectfully. "Well fought," he said. Maya advanced to the next round. So did Paulson. They would face each other in the finals of the combat tournament. The entire base seemed to show up to watch. Word had spread about the small female soldier who was making it through the combat leadership trial. Some came to support her. Many came expecting to watch her finally fail. Maya and Paulson stood across from each other in the ring. He had 70 pounds on her, 6 months of combat training, and every physical advantage imaginable. "I'll try not to hurt you too bad," Paulson said as they touched gloves. "Appreciate it," Maya replied calmly. The bell rang. Paulson came forward with measured aggression, having learned from watching Morrison's mistake. He wasn't going to let Maya tire him out or use his momentum against him. He was going to be patient and wait for his opening. They exchanged cautious strikes. Paulson's punches had power behind them. Maya's had precision. She targeted nerve points and joints, trying to compromise his movement. He targeted her body, trying to wear her down with accumulated damage. 3 minutes in, Paulson caught her with a solid hit to the ribs. Pain exploded through Maya's side. She backed away, breathing carefully. Nothing broken, but badly bruised. Paulson pressed his advantage. He came forward with a combination of punches. Maya blocked most of them, but took another hit to her shoulder. She was running out of room to retreat. The edge of the ring was right behind her. This was it. She couldn't outpower him. She couldn't outlast him. She had to outsmart him. Paulson threw a heavy right hand, putting all his weight behind it. Maya dropped low, letting the punch sail over her head. Then she drove her shoulder into his knee with all her strength. It was a legal strike, but a risky one. If it didn't work, she would be on the ground at his mercy. The strike worked. Paulson's knee buckled. He dropped to one knee, his balance compromised. Maya immediately moved behind him and secured a rear chokehold. Paulson tried to power out of it, but Maya had the position locked in. He had two choices: tap out or go unconscious. After 5 seconds of struggling, Paulson tapped the ground. The crowd erupted. Maya released the hold and stepped back. Paulson got to his feet slowly, rubbing his neck. He looked at her for a long moment, then extended his hand. "I was wrong about you," he said simply. Maya shook his hand. "We both did what we had to do, but Phase 3 wasn't over. The final challenge was still ahead." The 6 remaining competitors were given their final mission brief. They would be inserted into a wilderness area with minimal supplies. Their objective was to navigate 50 miles to an extraction point while evading hunter teams, surviving the elements, and solving tactical problems along the way. It was a 72-hour evolution that would test everything they had learned. The catch: they would be working in pairs. The teams were assigned randomly. Maya drew Paulson as her partner. They looked at each other. 24 hours ago, he had been her biggest detractor. Now he was her only ally in the final test. "Guess we better work together," Maya said. "Guess so," Paulson agreed. They were dropped at the starting point at dawn. Each pair had a map, compass, basic survival gear, and a radio for emergencies only. Using the radio meant disqualification unless it was a genuine life-threatening situation. Maya and Paulson studied the map. The terrain was brutal: mountains, rivers, dense forest. And somewhere out there, hunter teams were waiting to eliminate them from the trial. "We should move fast," Paulson said. "Cover as much distance as possible before the hunters get organized." "Agreed," Maya said. "But we need to be smart about our route. The obvious paths will be where the hunters set up. We should take the harder terrain. It'll be slower, but safer." They compromised, choosing a route that balanced speed and stealth. For the first 12 hours, they made good progress. They navigated through dense forest, crossed a freezing river, and climbed a steep ridge. They worked together efficiently, each using their strengths. Paulson's power helped them move obstacles and cross difficult terrain. Maya's navigation and tactical thinking kept them on the optimal route. As night fell, they found a defensible position to rest. They couldn't risk a fire, so they shared a cold meal and took turns on watch. During Maya's watch, she heard voices in the distance. Hunter teams. They were close. She woke Paulson silently and pointed. He nodded. They packed their gear and moved quietly away from the approaching sounds. For 3 days, they navigated, evaded, survived, and solved the tactical challenges the evaluators placed in their path. They encountered 2 hunter teams and successfully evaded both. They crossed terrain that seemed impossible, and slowly, something changed between them. On the final morning, with the extraction point just 5 miles away, they took a break on a hilltop overlooking the valley below. "Can I ask you something?" Paulson said. "Sure," Maya replied. "Why did you do this?" "You had to know how hard it would be. How much people would doubt you. Why put yourself through it?" Maya thought about the question. "Because someone has to be first. Because every time someone like me proves we can do something people think we can't, it makes it easier for the next person. And because my father taught me that the only limits that matter are the ones we accept for ourselves." Paulson was quiet for a moment. "Your father was Colonel Chen, the Medal of Honor recipient." "Yes," Maya said, surprised he knew. "I didn't make the connection until a few days ago," Paulson admitted. "Your father was a legend. 5'6", 150 pounds. Everyone said he was too small to be a ranger. Then he went on to save his entire platoon and become one of the most decorated soldiers of his generation." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. "I didn't know you knew about him." "Everyone in the army knows about him," Paulson said. "And now I understand. You're not trying to prove something to us. You're honoring him." "I'm trying to be worthy of what he believed I could be," Maya said. They reached the extraction point with 6 hours to spare. Of the 6 competitors who started Phase 3, only 4 completed it. Maya and Paulson, Torres and another soldier named Simmons. 2 teams had been eliminated by hunters or failed to solve the required tactical challenges. The final scoring was calculated based on all 3 phases combined. The 4 remaining competitors stood in front of Colonel Reeves and the evaluation board. "You 4 represent the best of what this military has to offer," Colonel Reeves said. "You have proven yourselves in combat, leadership, and character. But only one soldier can receive the combat leadership badge and first choice assignment." Maya's heart pounded. She had given everything. But had it been enough? The soldier with the highest overall score, demonstrating exceptional leadership, tactical excellence, and warrior spirit is— Colonel Reeves paused, looking directly at Maya. "Sergeant Maya Chen." The words didn't register at first. Then Maya felt Paulson's hand on her shoulder, pushing her forward. She stepped up to receive the badge, her vision blurred with tears. Colonel Reeves pinned the combat leadership badge on her uniform. "You earned this, Sergeant. Every step of the way. You proved that leadership isn't about size or strength. It's about heart, intelligence, and refusing to quit. You honor your father's legacy and set a new standard for everyone who comes after you." The colonel stepped back and saluted. Maya returned the salute, then turned to face her fellow soldiers. Every one of them was saluting her. Even Paulson. That evening at the celebration gathering, Paulson approached Maya one final time. "I owe you an apology," he said. "A real one. I judged you before you ever had a chance to prove yourself. I let my own prejudices blind me to your abilities. You're a better soldier than I am, and a better leader. We all have our strengths," Maya said. "You pushed me to be better by doubting me. Maybe I needed that." "Maybe," Paulson said. "But you didn't need me tearing you down. You would have been great regardless. I just would have felt better about myself if you had failed. And that's something I need to work on." It was the most honest thing he had ever said to her. "For what it's worth," Maya said, "you were a good partner in the final phase. We made a solid team." Paulson smiled. "Yeah, we did." 3 months later, Maya received her first choice assignment. She was selected to attend the Army Ranger School, following in her father's footsteps, the same school that many people said she would never be qualified for. On her first day at Ranger School, Maya stood in formation with her new class. She was the only woman. She was the smallest soldier, and she could feel the familiar weight of doubt and skepticism from those around her. But this time, she also wore the combat leadership badge on her uniform, a visible reminder to everyone and to herself of what she had already proven. The instructor walked down the line of students, stopping in front of Maya. "You're Chen," he said. "I heard about you. Heard you won the combat leadership trial at Fort Harrison despite being half the size of your competitors." "Yes, Sergeant," Maya said. The instructor studied her for a moment. "You know what that tells me?" "No, Sergeant. It tells me you're going to have to work twice as hard as everyone else here. It tells me you're going to face doubt and skepticism every single day. It tells me that quitting would be easier than staying." Maya stood tall. "Yes, Sergeant." "And it tells me I'll succeed anyway." The instructor smiled slightly. "I believe you will. Welcome to Ranger School, Sergeant Chen. Try to keep up." As the class began their first training exercise, Maya thought about everything that had brought her to this moment. The mockery, the doubt, the pain, the triumph. She thought about her father and the letter he had written her, about refusing to let anyone make her small. And then she stopped thinking and started moving, because there was work to do, standards to meet, and a new generation of soldiers watching to see what was possible. The mission continued, and Sergeant Maya Chen was just getting started.